Yeah. Welcome back to Speaker's Corner and Science and Cocktails. It's the last day and it's our last session, and we have cocktails. Yay! Who's got a cocktail? Should we say skål? Skål! Okay, so this afternoon we're discussing science communication, and we're here with Armas from Science and Cocktails, which is a special event here in Copenhagen. So Jay, welcome, and take it away. He's going to talk to us about science and cocktails and science communication. Take it away.
Can you hear me, or is there any sound? Okay. Okay, so first of all, it says here science and cocktails, but this is not science and cocktails. I'm just going to try to give you a flavor of what science and cocktails is. In essence, it's a platform for researchers to communicate their research, but it's sort of an unusual platform compared to other initiatives that have tried to do exactly the same. So what is Science and Cocktails? Science and Cocktails is pretty much an answer to this question. So how can we create a night culture that revolves around knowledge? So in this specific case, around science. So why is this question important? Is because for several reasons, but primarily because there has been a huge increase in scientific publications, and this research has to be communicated. There's also an enormous interest by the public to hear about science research and research findings. And this interest is actually latent. I mean, some people might not even be aware that they have this interest because there hasn't been, in some cases, the right platform to advertise and to reach these people. So we know this a posteriori because if we create the platform, people come and are interested. The other reason is simple, because most people pay there's tax money going into the government that then funds research, and there is an obligation to share these findings. And it's a bit weird that if you ask people to give money to do research, and then you also ask people to pay money to receive the information about this research. So what is important is that you can create platforms that allow to share high quality research by really amazing researchers, free and accessible to all. And it's not country dependent. This should be everywhere. So why do I say it's a night culture? Well, the reason is simple. It's simply because people are busy during the day. And if you demand people's attention for more than 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, then you really have to organize something that they can participate. It's slightly a different problem than receiving simply texts or reading articles, because this you can do maybe even 5-minute break when you're working. But if you demand the attention for 1 hour, then you really have to organize when people have time to attend. The answer is simple. And in Denmark, there has been initiatives back in the 1700s of organizing public schools in late hours for the public to be aware of scientific research. And this is a nice article by a science journalist here in Denmark, Christian Nielsen, who went through the story of science research in Denmark, and he realized that some of these ideas were already there a long time ago. This platform that I'm going to try to present to you is a sort of a modern version of this that combines education but with entertainment. So we want to create a night culture. What is the night culture in modern times? So this is night culture in modern times, at least for young people. This is what people do in the nighttime. So from 20 to 40 years old, there's parties, there's music, there's concerts, there's art, there's bars, there's clubs, there's cafes, there's all this kind of stuff. And pictorically, this is what it is. There's beer in the middle of all these things, all these venues, and then there is small chunks around it. There's sports, there's music, there's arts, and there's knowledge that I've presented here much bigger than what it actually is. There's much the part of knowledge that is part of culture, of night culture, is really small. And this is corroborated by the common denominator of the most famous people according to Facebook statistics. You know, there are musicians and there are football players. These are the people that have the most number of likes on Facebook. So this is just to, it's a sort of a joke, but it's just to say that knowledge and science is really ill represented in the cultural domain. So what Science in Cocktails tries to do is to integrate into this culture. So you can see an event that revolves around knowledge, around science, around someone's research, but that it takes several parts of the cultural domain and integrates into that event. So there's theatrical aspects, there's music aspects, there's art installations, there's music concerts after the lectures, and there's cocktails, because you have to integrate it into the night culture. And this makes an event extremely appealing. So, in essence, this is the idea. You want to create an event that you can receive knowledge, but is equally entertaining. Because people, after working hours, they don't want to go to a school and learn. They want to learn, perhaps, but they want to do this in an informal way, in an entertaining way, that they can also have fun. So there are problems with this, because even if you try to create such night culture, and I say that people are interested in it, there's a sort of negative thing about education sometimes. And you can see it with this following analogy. So if I say, tomorrow I am going to a nice concert, then I will meet my friends, and then I will get drunk. I mean, this makes sense to you. You have heard this sentence before. Now let me change nice concert to nice lecture. Tomorrow I'm going to a nice lecture, then I will meet my friends, and then I will get drunk. I mean, that must be ironic. I mean, the lecture must be really bad, right? I mean, this is what sort of comes to your mind. That must be ironic. And now, look, I just changed to a boring lecture. Tomorrow I'm going to a boring lecture, then I will meet my friends, and then I will get drunk. This makes perfect sense, because lectures are boring, right? So you have to fight against this sort of mentality. And this mentality is even present in today's science communicators. In some of them, I have said, you know, we have this event that many people come, more than 600 people per event come and attend these lectures. And they ask me, but who are these people? And I say, well, it's just people, working people. But there is 15% of them who are maybe academics or researchers. And then they say, okay, yes, well, this is how they have fun. I mean, this is a bit, it just expresses the fact that there is some sort of negative connotation associated with having lectures in the night culture. So you have to fight against that. And we fight how? We completely deconstruct the academic environment. So you want to present your research, you have to do it in a very informal way that is not academic. That somehow you remove all the standards of academia. When someone goes and presents, there's always a moderator or something like here that says, you know, now we have this person, he did this and did that and blah, blah, blah. And this is sort of very formal. How do you break this? We break it in all possible sorts of ways. This is an introduction to the Nobel Prize winner David Gross that we make. We make a sort of theatrical sketch that we screen before the talk, and this is how it looks. It's probably difficult to hear the sound, but there's someone talking there. Then there's a naked guy coming in, taking some cocktails. It's definitely weird. There's another one here. This for Nobel Prize winner John O'Keefe, last Sunday, a lecture full of a lot of people. I'm sorry you cannot listen to sound, so it's difficult to get the jokes. But there's something here. What happens when we do this? This is Kip Thorne. He was the founder of LIGO. Probably some of you know about it because it was the observatory that found gravitational waves 2 months ago. And this is his reaction and the reaction of the audience to one of these introductions, which is very difficult to hear. But people are shouting and clapping and so on. And he is there looking stunned. And he's saying, I should now go home and you should go enjoy your cocktails because I cannot, you know, keep up with this, and so on. So what these sort of introductions and these things that create is that they sort of create an environment which is relaxed. It's easy to ask questions. It puts the scientist on the same footing as everyone else, and they can discuss, and the audience becomes extremely receptive towards receiving information. So now I'm going to skip this because unfortunately we cannot listen so well. So the space looks something like this. It's an unusual space. If you're not from Copenhagen, this is a neighborhood, a hippie neighborhood in Copenhagen called Christiania. It's a fantastic space. It's a huge area here of Copenhagen. There's people like this hanging out there, but the majority of people are just normal people who come in, and there's queues and queues going into this space. And you can see that the space is also very unusual. It's not what you associate with a lecture theater. This is pictures of many people there. This is a Nobel Prize winner, John O'Keefe, yesterday, a Sunday, enjoying his cocktail and chatting with people. We use sort of scientific inspiration on our cocktails. We have smoky dry eyes and so on. We have music performances that follow the lectures. So we celebrate science besides learning science. And so what have we accomplished in the past 7 years? This exists for 7 years. There has been more than 100 events. We are more than 14 volunteers. We are not supported by anything. We just do this because we like to do it. Some people would call something like this an institution. It's more than 40 people. No matter what topic or researcher, we can get an audience of 300 to 600 people, majority 20 to 40 years old. It's the most difficult sector of reaching in science communication, in my perspective. It's the only initiative in Denmark that can bring a lot of scientists and give them a platform for advertising their research to the public. It works also extremely well in Johannesburg, South Africa. We started this 1 year ago there. And we had an amazing support by the science journalists in South Africa. And it went straight to a big success of 250 people. Here in Copenhagen, we had 40 people in the beginning, and it grew in 3 years to 350, and to 600, 700 plus in 7 years. But we had no help from the media, so it was just word of mouth, and took many years to reach to this point. So this is an invitation for science journalists, if there is something, if there is many out here. And I want to just make the point that science in cocktails, this type of events, is not a competitor to any digital media. It's a way of getting information straight from the horse's mouth, which can be attended by anyone, either if you're a politician or you're a science journalist or you're just the public. But it also helps a lot the interest in the digital media, because if you flood the internet with information, even if it's high quality information, this does not get people interested. The interested people will seek this information, but people who are not interested, they won't seek this information. While if we create a cultural habit of people enjoying, having fun, and learning science amongst their peers, that they can interact with each other in a social environment, this will raise the status of the researchers in the cultural domain, which then will increase the number of people who will search for other information. So we would like to one day create an amazing and large science festival at a very big scale. We have a huge area that we can use without any problem. We can just use a whole entire neighborhood of Copenhagen. And we would like to create this, and it will be amazing if we can get the help of science journalists to sort of put this in another level, and also at an international level. So, thank you.
Thanks so much, Jay. I think that was pretty fantastic. I mean, I think Peter asked me if I would dress up and do this, so I was like, no. Okay. If there's anybody have any questions for Jay before we move on? No? I can't. Oh, you'll have to shout quite loudly.
if I receive any funding, you say? No, I have received no funding. So this is completely volunteer. It never received any funding. The way we can support ourselves is by selling cocktails. So the events are completely free. We don't charge. We don't want to charge. We think this should be accessible for everyone. And because we have, 300, 600 people, we can sell enough to pay flight tickets to Nobel Prize winners or whoever to come and give a lecture at the events. Yeah. I'm a researcher in theoretical physics, in black holes and string theory and so on. Yeah. But I also do a lot of artistic work and art installations, which are sort of inspired in science and related things. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks. If there's any more questions, I think.
Sorry?
Do you instruct your speakers in a certain
We do instruct our speakers. We have sort of our own guidelines, which are very unconventional if you look at how you should communicate science, usually written in guidelines. And we try to make them aware of what is the setting. But also when we invite people, we interact with them prior to the lecture. So either the day before, they sometimes stay with us, or in nearby locations, or we start always with the reception in dinner. And this somehow gives the feeling to the speaker that he is not a guest, but he is part of it. And somehow he adapts his way of communicating to this setting. Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll leave the questions there, but if you do have any more questions for Jay, he's just here, and if there's any more cocktails left, then grab a cocktail. We have Peter here. Peter is going to give you a short introduction to the book, which you may have seen hanging around.
Or if Jay could stay here for just a second, because you came with an invitation for the digital media. And as a representative of digital media, perhaps I should answer your invitation. Is okay? Yeah. Because I represent Science Nordic. Science Nordic is an English language website communicating about science, but in a very traditional text-based way. But that is what we do. And we would love to have more communication like the stuff that you're doing. So, but my question could be, when people try to make things from the live culture and take it into an internet-based digital way, it often becomes like this very slick TED Talks or something like that. How do you, have you any thoughts about that?
We are completely against TED Talks. So we give a long enough time, we give 45 minutes to 50 minutes for someone to present their research. And we do choose good communicators, yeah. But we also choose the ones who are excellent researchers, who haven't made their careers out of just communicating with bits and pieces. So we really want high quality research to be transmitted.
How about new ideas? Young people with new interesting ideas.
So there's people who have made themselves in the research world, and there's people who are becoming good researchers. We also invite these, right. Either highly esteemed or young people who are becoming highly esteemed. Okay. Yes. So.
But I think that's always a challenge, because we have a big audience, but we can only give them text or short videos and don't relate to them in the same way as you can in these live events.
Yeah, right. So you mean in the digital media?
Yeah.
No, but that I understand. But I think it can work as a sort of complement, in the sense that for example, you write a piece about some topic. You write some piece about some topic. It can be complemented. Would you like to learn more about it? You follow the lecture, or the lecture inspires the topic, and you can say you want to learn more about this. You read the article, or they're complementary, and that's how I see it. Yeah.
But I definitely will take the invitation. I think we should create this festival. I will help you.
Great.
Thanks. Thanks for a wonderful presentation. Thanks for the cocktail. Before you leave, we have another free thing for you. On the tables, there's this book called Share Your Research. It's a handbook on science communication. Please grab a copy. It's for free. There are more over here. And it's about how to communicate your science to a broader audience. So please take a copy. And if that's it, thank you. Thank you, Jerome. Thanks for the cocktails.